This is for entertainment purposes only. This short story is only for people over the age of 18.
It was the day that things were going to change. Not for the better. I didn't know that when I woke up. I woke up rather happy after spending the night with two big-breasted blondes with low body fat and enough muscles to keep going until I was done. It was comforting to wake with one on either side of me, their heads on my chest, their breasts fitting right into my sides. This is always what I wanted to wake up to. The spring sun was just lightening the sky when I saw the clock glowing red and decided I had a few minutes before having to get going. I nudged the blondes awake enough to hear me say,
"I want you two to pleasure my cock."
Yes, master.
Both said at the same time before pulling down the blankets and using their mouths and hands to take care of my morning wood. I closed my eyes to enjoy the feeling. Not just lips on my tip, but the feeling of control over those women who would never look at me twice, let alone once, in the normal world. The world is populated with superheroes and has been longer than I've been alive, but with those superheroes has come an age of wonder. The population calls it the age of wonder. I call it progress. I've been studying psychology since I understood what the word meant. How does the human brain work? Why do we think the way we do? I am a twin, and my brother and I can't be more different even if we were the same egg that split in two. He's a jock, and I'm a scientist. He became a truck driver. I became a science villain. I'm not really a villain. I simply took my knowledge of psychology and made a machine that makes people want what I want. The want machine, as it has become known by my small group, makes a person's mind believe that their greatest want, the want that makes them defy all logic and reason, the want that could make a person do or think things opposite their own lifelong beliefs, is what I want. My first attempt took nearly 2 hours to imprint on a person's mind that they want what I want. Anything I want. Now, with the improvement of cameras, AI, OLEDs, and audio connections, the time for being in the visor is down to 15 to 20 minutes. My assistant Wendy jokes that she could pop a lasagna in the oven, take over someone's will, and still have time to set the table before dinner is ready. That's not much of a joke since we've done that before. I was getting ready to release my load onto, and in, the two blonde women when there was frantic banging on my front door.
"Jonathan!"
A woman yelled. My home is a ranch-style house. I leaned over and opened the curtains enough to see my assistant Wendy hysterically fishing for her keys in the dumpster that is her purse. I like Wendy. She was one of my first test subjects. She's always had short red hair. She has brown eyes and a button nose with cheeks that show freckles when she gets sun. Her body has greatly changed in the 4 years since becoming mine. Daily weightlifting has given her a muscular body, and dieting has dropped her body fat to single digits. A Christmas bonus 3 years ago were 1,000 cubic centimeter silicone breast implants. Dressed for the office, however, was her white stretchy top that showed off cleavage and some side boob, her muscular arms and shoulders, and the six-pack abdominal muscles I love to touch. Her skirt was 6 inches above her knee, as I wanted. Her shoes were more practical with slip-on white flats. The only reason why Wendy would be at my front door this early, and not by my request, was something was wrong.
"Get off me,"
I told the blondes as I got up and grabbed a robe. I didn't tell the blondes that was what I wanted, so they still wanted to pleasure my dick. I got to the front door as it opened, and Wendy was tossing her keys back into her oversized purse. She saw me and her eyes lit up. One of my previous commands was that she was always happy to see me. It was still in full effect after 4 years.
"Jonathan,"
Wendy said, eager, stepping into my home. As soon as she did, she grunted. Her purse slipped off her shoulder. Her hands went to her skirt's waistband and slid the skirt and panties down to off her legs in one fluid motion. She was getting down onto her knees as she pulled her stretchy top off. Her large breasts didn't need a bra, so she never wore one. That was fine with me as I saw her nipples get fully erect before my eyes as she looked at me with hunger.
"Would you like a blowjob, master?"
Wendy said quickly as if to get it out fast. This was quickly followed with an as quick and almost panicked statement.
"We have a problem at the lab. There's been a break-in, master."
I felt my face drain of color. The blondes from the bedroom appeared at this point to try and get to my cock and obey the last want I had.
"Damn it,"
I said and backed away from the 3 women.
"You too,"
I said, pointing at the blondes.
"I want you to get dressed, go back to your homes, go about your lives and tell no one about me or last night."
I saw the women take a breath, something all of my slaves did before accepting my commands.
Yes, master.
The blondes said at the same time. I couldn't help but watch their muscular legs and firm asses as they went back into the bedroom. I turned to Wendy, still on her knees, with her mouth in the form of a circle, ready for me to insert my dick. It amused me to make her want to do this every time she came into my home. I wasn't amused now.
Wendy, get dressed and tell me what's going on.
I said, turning to also go into the bedroom. Wendy, being my assistant, would obey my commands even if I don't add the want to them. I got into the bedroom just as the blondes were slipping on their 6-inch heels. They only had on their micro bikinis, one black and the other red, and I remembered telling them I wanted them to come over only wearing their smallest bikinis. They stopped to give me a kiss each as they left. I can't remember if I implanted that into them or not, but I enjoyed it. I was getting my clothes when Wendy showed up at my door.
I've been calling and texting all morning.
Wendy said, getting her flats on.
Why didn't you pick up, master?
I've had my phone on silent ever since.
I said, and then shock dawned on me.
All those false alarms.
A false sense of complacency.
Wendy said, nodding.
3 weeks of the alarm tripping at 2:06 in the morning, the police threatening to charge for false alarms, and we were too oblivious that something might actually be happening, master.
Was it the dock door again?
I asked. For 3 weeks, in the middle of the night, the side door of the dock, a man door next to the dock's garage door, would trigger that someone was trying to open it. Since this was inside of a fenced-in and barbed wire-topped enclosure, such a thing was unlikely.
Yes, master.
Wendy said.
I am to blame, master. I did not get up and go to the lab to check out the alarm.
I want you to not be so hard on yourself.
I said, making it a command. I was in charge, and I didn't get up, or even have a slave get up and go check the alarm. 3 weeks, every day, including the weekends, and in the middle of the night, after having the alarm company come out and check things, and we were going to have the alarm replaced at the beginning of next week.
What did they get?
I asked the big question after feeling the guilt subside a little.
Master.
Wendy hesitated.
They took one of the want machines.
My heart skipped a beat, maybe two.
They took it.
I said, angry.
Who?
I don't know, master.
Wendy said, and for a moment I thought she was going to cry. She's too good of a manager, and assistant, and lover, and slave for that.
Master, we can't go to the cops.
Let's go to the lab first.
I said, calm again and fully clothed.
I want to see what happened.
It looked like nothing had happened. The lab, that I named JK Industries for my initials, is part small offices, part lab, and part workshop. The offices are Wendy's domain. Along with a part-time office helper, June, they coordinate getting women to be brainwashed, getting clients to sell the women to, and developing any skills required. The workshop is my domain, coming up with all kinds of improvements and other brainwashing and mind-controlling gadgets of various levels of success. The labs are clean, blank rooms with large one-way windows, chairs that we got used from some dentist offices, and usually a wheeled cart with a laptop and visor on it. There are 4 labs, and 3 were fine. The 4th one, the one closest to the door to the small warehouse, wasn't. I didn't need a warehouse when I got the place, but it is a perfect environment for workout equipment. Most of the women I brainwash, I feel, need more muscle tone and less body fat. The warehouse is where Wendy, June, and most of my slaves that are developing skills work out every chance they get. This week, an odd one for us, we didn't have any guests, and June was in Jamaica visiting her parents. I looked around and found nothing that screamed at me as a clue beyond the wheeled want machine not being in lab 4. I went into the warehouse. The lights take a minute to come on, and the weight equipment looked like some torture chamber, which in a way it was, as I walked past them to the dock. The doors were all closed. There was one muddy footprint on the concrete floor, but that told me nothing. I opened the man door and looked outside to the drizzle coming down. The mud and gravel back with weeds popping up in places looked normal. I got to the chain link gate and found the lock intact, but one of the links in the chain, which was thinner, was cut to let someone in and out. I said hesitatingly to Wendy.
I'm out of my depth.
Then what do we do?
Wendy asked.
If they get into the laptop, then someone else has the want machine, and who knows what they're going to do with it.
We stood for a moment in silence, in the back lot with the drizzle coming down on us. I had an option. It was the best option, but I wasn't happy about it.
Should we alert the heroes?
Wendy asked.
No,
I said and didn't like the taste that left in my mouth.
someone that works for them, but deals with those of us in the gray area too.
Wendy looked at me questioningly.
Who?
She finally asked.
Pierce McKullen, private investigator.
The young man said, showing up at the lab.
Are you really a PI if you work for the superheroes?
Wendy asked, confused.
I work for whomever needs help,
Pierce said, looking me dead in the eyes.
no matter what kind of asshole they are.
Pierce looks like a teenager, a very nondescript teenager. Brown hair, brown eyes, average height, a slightly above average build, and dresses in clothes that don't have logos or markings. His jacket has pockets all over, and I know for a fact most of those pockets have tools, magic, and devices that he uses to his advantage, no matter what they are. In reality, he's in his 40s, has been doing the PI thing for years, and after a break when his wife died, he was pulled back in, and no one talks about how he was turned into a teenager. The only way you can tell that he's something more than a teenager is his dark eyes never stop moving.
Your security system is bottom of the barrel?
Pierce said, walking around the perimeter of the lab.
I told you about the alarms when I called you.
I said, following him as he looked everywhere from the sky to the walls to the ground. His eyes and head were always moving, taking things in.
Yeah, but that is the cheapest system they sell.
Pierce stated.
It is what they sell for when insurance companies demand you have an alarm system.
He paused at the gate to the back and picked up the link of the chain that was cut. He pulled out his phone, shifted the chain to get the light, and took a picture.
Robodoc, I just took a picture of a chain.
Pierce said into his phone.
Please run an analysis on it.
On it.
A voice said from Pierce's phone.
I don't think I like the name Robodoc anymore. I'm leaning towards Kukulkan Zoom.
I'm not calling you that.
Pierce said.
You're a one-of-a-kind sentient computer with access to all the information in the world. I'm not calling you Kukulkan Zoom.
I'll come up with something better.
Robodoc said.
That chain was cut with 15-inch bolt cutters that, if the increasing wear pattern as the metal was cut, indicate that they were made of the soft metal commonly forged for the brand Stryker sold at Crate and Box.
Please get a list of everyone who has purchased a pair in this state for the last 10 years.
Pierce said as he wandered the weeds looking.
Should I crash your email with the list of thousands of people who did so?
Robodoc asked.
Just hang on to that list because I just found tire tracks.
Pierce said, getting to the dock and taking a picture of the tracks in the mud.
Hey Jonathan.
Pierce yelled at me.
When was the last time this dock was used?
6 months ago or so.
I said, trying to remember.
Before Halloween.
I said, remembering getting a load of electrodes in at the same time as a large inflatable ghost for my house that barely fit into my car. Pierce was already having Robodoc look things up as if my answer was not important. He looked over the door handle and then opened the door. He looked all around, with the light on his phone providing extra visibility. Wendy and I got up to him as he was on his belly on the concrete floor looking at the muddy shoe print.
You idiots walked all over the crime scene.
Pierce was saying.
I'm amazed you didn't walk through this boot print.
I didn't see anything other than that.
I said, feeling like a scolded child.
Well, it is a good thing you didn't walk through this at least.
Pierce set his nose almost in the dried out mud.
I know the brand.
Pierce said, looking over it carefully.
Cheap and it wears out quickly. This pair couldn't be more than a month old. I can also see someone was wearing sneakers. Expensive ones too. And worn. But not to the point of replacement. This was done by only 2 people.
Does that make it harder or easier to find my machine?
I asked.
Harder.
Pierce said, getting up to his feet.
Fewer people to talk, fewer people to track.
Pierce walked through the warehouse and looked up on the wall at the mandatory emergency lighting in case of a fire. His eyes narrowed as I knew he saw the supposedly hidden cameras I installed. Pierce then glared at me as we continued walking to the door to the labs. I like seeing my women work out, since often they are naked. Wendy, with her large breasts and toned body, is exceptionally good looking when she only has on a sheen of sweat. There's something about seeing any woman's abdominal muscles flex as she's working them that turns me on like nothing else. I don't think anyone knows about my hidden cameras, not even Wendy, but Pierce spotted them in seconds and figured out why they were there. He's good, even if he's an asshole.
Any internal cameras recording?
Pierce asked.
No.
Wendy stated before I could.
Our clients don't like being on camera.
Sure.
Pierce said, giving me another glare. I just shook my head. I only turn on the cameras for the workout area when I'm there. There are lots of recordings, but none from the night before. We went into the lab, and Pierce looked around.
I'm not happy with you, Jonathan.
Pierce said.
Brainwashing people to be your slaves.
It isn't brainwashing.
Wendy said, defending me.
Oh, please.
Pierce said directly to her.
I can see it in your eyes how much you worship this asshole and not of your own free will. I bet it is killing you not to call him master this very second.
I love Jonathan and only want to make him happy.
Wendy said, sounding like she meant it. Pierce went from her eyes to stare at her enlarged chest. We all looked down at her enlarged chest, her firm abs, and short skirt.
Right?
Pierce said, not believing her.
What do you want?
I finally asked.
You shut this place down, move out of the country, and never come back.
Pierce said, and it wasn't as bad as I thought he was going to say.
One more thing. Free all of your slaves. Starting with her. Right now.
Pierce indicated Wendy. There was the gut punch that I was expecting. I looked at Wendy. There was fear in her eyes. It wasn't the fear for her, but a fear for me. I could tell.
No, please, Master, don't.
Wendy said.
Wendy,
I said and closed my eyes so I didn't have to see her face.
I want you to have your own desires and free will back.
I opened my eyes to see Wendy take that breath. Then her eyebrows lowered in that expression of anger that I rarely saw on her face and never directed at me. Her hand was faster than I would have expected when it slapped hard on my cheek.
Asshole.
Wendy said, looking down at her body.
Men. This is why I was a lesbian.
She looked at me and again said,
Asshole.
She looked at Pierce to say,
You're an asshole too for willingly working for him. He should be arrested and thrown in solitary for life. Fuck you both.
With that, Wendy stalked off and out of the lab, through my workshop, and out of the building. I let out a sigh.
I guess you will hold up your end of the bargain.
Pierce stated.
I'll give you 1 week to get out of the country and renounce your citizenship. I will be watching.
What about my machine?
I said, getting back on point, so I didn't have to think about never seeing Wendy again.
Oh, right, that.
Pierce said, waving his hand like it wasn't important. He pulled out his phone and looked at it.
Your machine is at an abandoned car wash about 3 miles from here. I had Robodoc cross-reference tool marks, shoe impressions, and tire tracks to see who that leads to, and their brothers. Cayman and Goran Sandu sitting in the same van that pulled up to your dock, and Wi-Fi signal blockage indicates something in the back of their van the same dimensions as your other machines here.
One name rang a bell.
Goran, he's like the handyman around here sometimes. When something needs fixed or patched.
I said, thinking back.
I can't believe he would swipe one of my machines.
If it helps, they're clearly waiting for someone.
Pierce said, checking his phone.
I'm just wasting time until, oh look, someone in a very nice car just showed up.
How are you able to see this?
I had to ask.
Business cameras all over the area.
Pierce said, looking at a live feed on his phone.
And you can just tap into those cameras how?
I asked, skeptical that Pierce was completely on the side of the angels.
I'm just that good.
Pierce answered.
License plate says the car is registered to Nishimura Industries.
Oh no.
I said, the name hitting home.
Teru Nishimura.
I said, almost putting my face into my hands.
He's a buyer of mine. I bet he has a dozen sexy women all around him acting like bodyguards.
2.
Pierce said.
3 if you count the driver. Let's go. I want to catch them red-handed. It's more fun that way.
I guess we can't call your hero friends either.
I mentioned as we headed outside.
If you want to stay in the country in a prison cell, that's up to you.
Pierce offered. I didn't. I was happy to see Wendy left the car. We found the criminals inside the long path a car would take in the car wash. They had my machine plugged into one of the outlets, apparently still powered up, because everything was lit, but they didn't have access to the program that actually ran the want machine. Pierce and I snuck within listening distance as Cayman Sandu, thin, tall, and slimy-looking, was arguing with Teru Nishimura, thin, short, and slimy-looking. Teru grew a pencil-thin mustache since I'd last seen him. It didn't look good on his face. Cayman looked much like his brother, with pale skin and brown hair, and stubble that was a few days old. Taru was more cultured, looking in a business suit that at the moment made him look like a rich, screaming child, despite the mustache.
I am not paying you $10 million for a machine that doesn't work.
Taru yelled at Cayman.
I'll knock $1 million off, and you can hire a hacker to get into the computer.
Cayman said, trying to negotiate.
I have a very important meeting tonight at 8.
Taru yelled.
If this isn't working by then, you get nothing.
Taru looked at his female bodyguards, all dressed in tight black bodysuits and wearing dark glasses, inside a building on an overcast day. There were clear sidearms strapped in black leather holsters on their hips. I had to admire that Taru kept his women fit and toned, even if they were his obedient slaves. I should know. I sold those women to him.
Right?
Pierce said, whispering to me. He handed me a heavy metal pipe that was left over when the car wash was abandoned.
You take out the Sandhu brothers and I'll deal with Taru's bodyguards.
I took the pipe with my heart beating fast. I was nervous and scared. Pierce looked bored, like everything fun had already happened. He pulled from one of his pockets 2 small but powerful stun guns. The action was swift. We took them by surprise. I think I gave Goran a concussion, and I'm pretty sure I broke Cayman's jaw. They were down and stayed down. Pierce shocked both of Taru's guards, and the women went down shaking from the charge running through their bodies from the electrodes in their middles, and the volts surging through hair-thin wires. Pierce was just zip-tying their wrists and ankles when the driver, a tall blonde female I remember as having a mole on her ass, came in screaming. I tripped her with the pipe, and Pierce put the butt end of the stun gun, which was a taser, on her neck and dropped her. That left Taru on the ground, dirtying up his suit, looking scared and helpless.
Please, have mercy.
Taru said as I advanced on him, pissed.
Why?
I asked, and really the rest of the question just died in my mouth. I had so many questions, and this was the easiest to get out.
I didn't want to pay you.
Taru said hesitatingly, backing up to the wall of the car wash.
I wanted to enslave my enemies, my partners, and sister.
Oh, my mind goes to places I wish it didn't.
Pierce said, and flicked a small capsule at Taru. The small pod cracked open on contact with Taru's chest, releasing a small red cloud, and he dropped unconscious.
You couldn't have led with that?
I asked, looking down at the moaning Cayman.
I only carry 4.
Pierce said with a shrug.
It'll wipe their memories of the past hour or so. Let's get them close together and then take Taru and friends someplace else. When they wake up, they'll have no memory of what happened. You had better start getting yourself out of the country and hidden somewhere else. I highly recommend you dump your machines and research into the ocean.
I paused for a moment, moving Goran closer to his brother.
I'm surprised that wasn't one of your conditions.
I said.
Given who you are,
Pierce said, lifting the driver to get closer to the other women.
I doubt that you would or will ever stop making brainwashing devices. I just don't want you around here. Besides, I'm surprised you didn't try to use a gadget on me to make me help you without conditions.
I blinked, not thinking about doing that to him.
Would that have worked?
I asked, looking at the man. With the look that could have stopped a raging rhinoceros, he said in a tone that seemed almost neutral.
Probably not. And now, you owe me.
That night I was on the phone with lots of people, mostly women, that quickly found they wanted to be free and live their own lives. I stopped after 2 hours, just to give me a break from being called an asshole. I started packing the stuff from my house. It wasn't all that much. Most of it could be replaced, as soon as I figured out where I was going to go. The lab would take longer. I was getting a beer when I saw the bench swing against the back of the house, under the awning, was moving. On the bench was Wendy, dressed in a pink sweater against the evening chill, and wearing gray sweatpants for the first time in years. She still looked sexy. I got a second beer from the fridge, and went out the back siding door. Wendy didn't look at me when I sat down on the moving bench, and helped with its gentle rocking as she curled her feet, still wearing flats, under her. I handed her a bottle of beer. She took it without looking at it or me. I was about to offer to take the top off when she twisted the cap with her sweater sleeve to release the pressure, and then take the cap fully off. Wendy sighed as she said,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I said, and we were silent for a while.
You were never cruel.
Wendy finally said,
I mean, the breast implants, the sex, the forcing other women into slavery, sure, but you didn't beat me. You never sexually tortured me. You never even took me in the rear. I thought all men liked but sex.
Not me.
I said flatly.
The idea of putting my penis up someone's poop chute just sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Wendy said, thinking too. She took a long pull on her beer before saying,
I feel the same way with having a guy's dick in my mouth. I mean, really, your piss comes out of that. The fact that you seem to enjoy pleasuring me down there, where my own piss comes out, just seems wrong.
Your screaming orgasms would suggest differently.
I mentioned.
I claim brainwashed.
Wendy stated.
I remember when you told me I wanted to get breast implants.
Wendy paused before continuing.
I had actually thought about them before. I mean, I had lost so much weight, and they were just gone. I was still feeling like a lesbian at the time, or at least bisexual when it came to you, and I felt like I had lost something with my chest being flat as a book. I just didn't think you would want me to have these huge of knockers.
Are they really that big?
I asked, trying to make light of the situation.
I tell you what.
Wendy said with a slight smile.
You tape 2 water bottles together, twice, and stick those on your chest for a day. Then get back to me.
I took a drink of my beer before asking.
Would it help if I said I was sorry?
I don't know. Try.
Wendy said, finally looking at me.
Wendy, I'm sorry for brainwashing you to be my slave.
I said, and tried to sound like I meant it, because I did.
I want to believe you.
Wendy said, looking me up and down.
I'm this close to believing you.
She said, holding her finger and thumb, so they were almost touching.
My problem is, I would have done the same thing.
She said before taking another pull on her beer.
Fuck, I would have done a lot worse. I'm amazed you didn't turn me into an airhead bimbo.
Those aren't as much fun as you might think.
I said. Wendy shook her beer bottle, clearly empty.
Did beer bottles get smaller?
She asked rhetorically.
I remember these lasting longer.
Do you want another?
I asked.
What do I want?
Wendy said, thinking in exaggerated motions.
You know, for the longest time I wanted whatever you wanted. Now? I'm not sure what I want. We had a good thing going. Money, women, and having a body that I'll admit, was fucking sexy. On nights when I wasn't in bed with you, I did have a vibrator, and the mirrors on my closet door across from my bed.
You watched yourself?
I asked.
Try to tell me I don't have a hot body, and I'll call you a liar.
Wendy said.
No, what I want was what I've had for the past 4 years, but with a few changes.
Wendy said, thinking.
I want sex more and more often.
Wendy said.
You are good in bed, not great, but that could be because I'm actually attracted to women, sorry. I am, or was, a touch jealous that you could have multiple women in your bed each night. I want that, or at least have the option. I also don't mind dressing in skimpy outfits, but maybe something more professional for the office.
There was a pause before I had to ask.
And about being my slave again?
Oh hell, I figured that was a given.
Wendy said, putting her beer bottle on the ground next to the swing.
You wouldn't have released me like you did if there wasn't some backdoor into my mind.
You think that little of me?
I asked.
I think that highly of you.
Wendy retorted.
You are a genius. If you didn't have some way to retake control over your slaves, while they thought they were already free, then I don't want to work for you anymore.
There's that word. Want. Again.
I said with a chuckle.
So, Wendy, do you want what I want?
Wendy paused, and then her eyes rolled up into her head for a second. She looked at me, and let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding.
There it is.
Wendy said, and then sighed.
I want what you want.
I want to move to Jamaica.
I said. Wendy closed her eyes and took a breath.
I want to move to Jamaica too.
She said with a smile.
June is already down there.
We can have her look for appropriate places to set up shop.
I said, thinking.
Tourists, locals, photo shoots. We could have such a large crop of people to brainwash.
I stood up.
Come on, we can start packing my shit up tonight, and then work on yours.
I don't tan well.
Wendy said, getting up and following me.
We'll figure something out.
I said, going inside, and Wendy not far behind.
Well,
She stopped talking as she stepped foot into my house. She grunted again, and off went the pink sweater. She still wasn't wearing a bra. The sweatpants went down too, showing she wasn't even wearing underwear. The flats were off, and she was naked as she got down on her knees, knitting her fingers behind her head.
would you like a blowjob, master?
Wendy said as her programming took over again, and her mouth formed a perfect circle.
This time I think I would.
I said, remembering back to that morning. It seemed so long ago, and so much happened. I needed a little relief as I opened my pants and fished out my rod.
This time, Wendy, I want you to love having my cock in your mouth.
Wendy gave that deep breath.
I want what you want, master.
Wendy said with a slight smile on her circular mouth.
I want.
I stopped her talking in a way only a man could.
The end. This was a work of fiction. Any similarity between people, living or dead, is purely coincidence. This scenario did not, or should not, have happened in real life. Thank you for listening.